They cannot contain me.
Subject 7 escaped. Repeat. Subject 7 has escaped. Code red. Code red. Call the team. Get them here now.
They're already on their way. Over.
Jonah was a gateway to forbidden knowledge funded by those with no fear of consequences.
What makes you say that?
He was just not a man. He was a vessel for something far older and far darker.
How did you feel the first time you witnessed the shadows move around Jonah?
Whatever Jonah became, he wasn't human anymore. Something ancient woke up that night, and it hasn't gone back to sleep.
When Jonah got out, what happened to the rest of the team?
We were the hunters of knowledge. We didn't think we would become the prey.
This was the only case of possession confirmed by the government. We're talking about the Blackstone Institute, a scientific research company under one of the richest corporations in the world.
Yes, the Blackstone Institute. It was a vault of secrets, funded and operated by people in power who wanted answers to questions that most people would be too terrified to ask. I would know, because I was there.
So, were you an official employee of Blackstone?
Yes, and while I was there, I witnessed things that completely shattered my understanding of reality. I know that sounds dramatic, but that's the truth.
Like what exactly?
The paranormal, to put it bluntly, it was fringe science. Things like afterlife, spirits, other dimensions, entities, things of that nature. To give you an example, we wanted to see if there was a weight difference at the moment of death with a human. So our test subjects was volunteers that had already donated their body to science and wanted to participate in our program to help us get answers to the questions we all have about life and death.
So what was the outcome?
There was a slight but significant weight loss at the exact moment of death. 21 grams exactly.
That's interesting. So what exactly was Blackstone trying to accomplish?
Like I said before, the idea was to scientifically explore the paranormal, testing everything from psychic phenomena to possession claims. We wanted to determine if anything was labeled as supernatural was real. And for those years, the team found very little to support it. That is, until Jonah McCollum had arrived.
Jonah? Who's that?
Jonah was different. He was found wandering in Pennsylvania, muttering in languages he'd never studied, with abnormal compounds in his blood that were unidentifiable. The government deemed him a potential threat and sent him to Blackstone for observation. At first, I thought he was just another case study, odd for sure, but still human. But there was something off. His presence alone could change the atmosphere in the room. You would get chills if he watched. And then, when I asked him his name, he looked right into my eyes and said, "You don't know what you've brought here." But it wasn't his voice. It was deeper, almost inhuman. He would stop talking and act as if he had no memory of it. But the tests were unlike anything we'd seen. His body temperature would spike randomly, his heart rate would flatline for minutes before surging back to life. And then the shadows around him, they moved.
Wait, shadows that moved, as in on their own?
Yes, it sounds insane, but we captured it on footage. The shadows would shift even when Jonah was perfectly still, almost as if they were alive. And this wasn't just some trick of the light. There was a darkness around him that had a presence, a hostility.
You mentioned to me off air that this company was contracted by the government. I'm assuming when they found out about the strange behavior, they stepped in?
Exactly. High-ranking officials started showing up, all very interested in what Jonah could do, or what he could become. They authorized harsher tests, believing they could weaponize him. But the more they pushed, the more whatever was inside him pushed back.
What do you mean by that?
I personally believe that whatever was inside him had an agenda. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I could tell whatever it was ancient and also extremely intelligent. One night during an intense session, the power in the entire facility cut out. Jonah, who had been sedated, we could see on the cameras he sat upright, staring directly at us with pitch black eyes. There was an anger, a darkness, something far beyond human comprehension. I was terrified. I pleaded with my colleagues and our supervisors to stop, but they refused. Fear of pushback from the government. We couldn't just stop. This shadowy, compartmentalized government wasn't the regular government. These guys followed different rules.
What do you mean?
They reminded me of the mafia in the sense that they would get what they wanted by any means necessary. Ever heard the saying, absolute power corrupts absolute? They had impunity to do whatever they wanted. There were rumors of underground bases where they possess off-world and reverse engineer technology. Anyways, so they saw Jonah as a potential weapon, something they could control. But I knew better. Jonah was no longer himself. He was a conduit or a puppet.
A conduit? For what exactly?
I still don't know. I have my theories, but that's all they are. They're theories. The Bible talks about the Nephilim, the fallen angels. And the Bible gets its information from ancient texts copied and rewritten from thousands and thousands of years ago, originating from the Sumerians, the first recorded civilization. They speak about advanced beings that come down to Earth and genetically engineer humans, then crossbreeding with them, creating hybrids, what the Bible refers to as the giants. There was a major flood that wiped them out. I theorized that it's possible we're dealing with one of these entities. I can tell you that in the final days, he spoke in a voice that wasn't his own, repeating phrases and languages we couldn't identify except the one, ancient Sumerian. He mentioned ancient things that existed in places beyond our world. And then, during the last incident, he broke free.
Free? Like he escaped?
The facility went into full lockdown. He had somehow gained inhuman strength, moving faster than the guards could track, taking them down like they were nothing. The shadows, the dark aura around him, it swirled, almost like it was alive, protecting him. The last thing I could remember was him looking at me, saying, "You cannot contain what I am."
So what happened after that?
A paramilitary government contractor arrived and ordered everyone to evacuate. We were then escorted and put on a helicopter and sent to an undisclosed location where we were questioned, basically interrogated for days.
Interrogated? Why? What was it that they were asking?
They wanted the whole account of what happened, down to every little detail. They were threatening us, saying there was a vial of his blood that was missing, saying it was a national security threat.
What happened to Jonah?
I still don't know to this day.
After everything you witnessed, do you believe in the paranormal now?
I don't have the luxury of disbelief anymore. I know that there's things out there that science can't explain. Blackstone opened doors that should have stayed closed.